जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
प्रभु नित्यानंद
प्रभु नित्यानंद
श्री अद्वैत श्री गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा
हरे कृष्णा
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे राम
हरे राम
राम राम हरे हरे
राम राम हरे हरे
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So I'm very fortunate to be here again in your Namahatta in Eindhoven, and very happy to see some of the old faces here and some new faces. It's always a pleasure to be amongst wonderful people who are spiritually inclined, and when we meet for such programs, it is for our own benefit, our own eternal benefit. That is why we call it Satsang. Right? Yes?
ट्रांसलेशन हिंदी में नहीं कर सकते प्रभु जी?
But then the lecture will double. How many of you don't understand English?
No problem.
Everybody understands English?
No.
कितने लोग नहीं करते हैं?
वो माता जी
Then somebody can translate for her if it's only one person. That's my suggestion.
नहीं दो तीन है प्रभु जी.
और कौन है यहाँ पर? Who doesn't understand English?
थोड़ा बहुत छोटा मोटा हिंदी भी मैं कर दूँगा.
Okay, I'll try.
कर देना अच्छा.
Right. Up to what time do we have? Because I need to keep in mind the time
No.
frame also.
Take your time.
Okay. So as I was saying, मैं ये कह रहा था सत्संग. What is the meaning of satsang? What does satsang mean? We use this. Most of the people who are from the Indian background, they are aware of this word, and even those who have joined our wonderful, glorious ISKCON movement. What does satsang mean? I want to make it a little interactive. I want some participation. Would anybody like to try? First of all, I want to ask, how many of you have heard the word satsang? You've not heard the word satsang? Okay, then put your hand up. Don't be shy. Okay. So, satsang means, sat means, what does sat mean? Okay, that's a secondary meaning, but a good answer. Sat means truth. But there is a primary meaning of sat. Sanskrit is amazing. One word has more than one meaning, and there is always a primary or the root meaning. Sat means eternal, and Sangha means association. So that association that takes us to eternality is known as Satsang. Now, who is that eternal? That eternal is God, and there are different names of God, right? Some call him Jesus, some call him Allah, some call him Bhagwan, some call him Jehovah, and the most appropriate name of God as per the Vedic culture, I'm sure you all have heard the word Veda. Veda basically means knowledge. And knowledge is of two kinds. If you categorize knowledge generally speaking, one is spiritual and the other one is material. And Vedas is a science that ultimately culminates everything into a higher science known as Vigyan. So those who have familiar with certain languages of India known as Hindi or Gujarati or Marathi, the word Vigyan is the same as in Sanskrit. So Vigyan means, a lot of us translate that as science, right? But what kind of science? That science, Vishesh Vigyan iti Vigyan. That kind of knowledge that is Vishesh. Vishesh means topmost or very special. And Gyan means knowledge. Now what is special knowledge or topmost knowledge? Topmost knowledge starts when we have this information and ultimately realization that I am not this body, I am a spirit, soul. And that's not sufficient. That is only 50%. What is the other 50%? Who will participate by answering this? What is, as per the Vaishnava's definition, a lot of schools, I think the echo is very high. Hare Krishna. I think that's better. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. There are many schools of thought that teach us about spiritual life, that we are not this body, we are a soul. But that is, as for the highest scientists, spiritual scientists, that is only half the information. 50% knowledge. So if there was a question paper, and if it had 100 marks, and if somebody answered that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, you get 50 marks. But the other 50 marks, to complete 100, there is another component. And what is that?
God.
Sorry?
Krishna.
Yes?
It's another 50% the knowledge about God. No.
Okay. Well, we'll give you 25 marks for that. How about that? Because you are slowly leading to the full answer. The other part is that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. But if I am a spirit soul, what is my function? And my function is Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishnir Nityadas. Meaning, the constitutional position or dharma of the spirit soul is being an eternal servant of Krishna. And one of the most appropriate names of God is Krishna. Now one may think that it is sectarian, it is a Hindu name. It is not so. It is an illusion if one thinks that Krishna is a Hindu name. Krishna is simply a word in Sanskrit, just like we have different languages. We have Dutch, we have English, we have German or Deutsch, we have Latin, we have Hebrew. Very ancient languages are there, like Latin, Hebrew, etc. So one of the most ancient, most language known to mankind is Sanskrit. Very, very old. And the meaning of the word Krishna, if you translate that into English, it means all attractive. Krish means to attract. Krish means to attract. And Na means all. Everyone. Just not human beings. God is so amazingly beautiful. He is so amazingly powerful. He is so amazingly knowledgeable. He is so amazingly renounced. He is so amazingly famous. And who is so amazingly full of wealth, the most wealthiest. Because he's got all these wonderful qualities, these 6 qualities categorized, he is known as God to an unlimited extent. In our personal experience, we find that somebody who is very beautiful, let's say a stage actor or a drama actor or actress or somebody who is very famous on the silver screen in the movies. That person, let's say, comes to your local mall, everybody is going to rush for an autograph because they get attracted like bees that get attracted to flowers, right? Because of the beauty of that person. Somebody who is very knowledgeable, some great scientist or a Nobel laureate, maybe if he is speaking, all the seats are full in the university, and sometimes the seats are not available, people are standing in the hallway, right? People get attracted to people who have knowledge. Similarly, people who are famous, people who have the knowledge, people who have wealth. Some people are maybe looking very ugly, and they may not even have that much brains, but they have so much money. So people get attracted. When they speak at different business meetings, they are the keynote speakers. They are invited to speak, and they attract a lot of crowds. Is it true or not? So all these features, nobody has all of them. One person cannot have all these six to an unlimited extent. Somebody may have a lot of money, but they may not have beauty. They may not have that much knowledge. They may not be renounced. For example, if there's a saint or a saintly person or a sadhu, when that person comes, again, the temples, the churches, the mosques, they are full. People are attracted to such personalities. So, the Supreme Lord, Suresh, I think it was good before. It was perfect. It's good now. Thank you. So, one person who has all these six attributes or qualities to an unlimited extent, in Sanskrit, that person is called Bhaga. It's called who? Bhaga. And Van means one who possesses. So one who possesses knowledge, in Sanskrit is known as Dhanvan. One who possesses Gyan one who possesses wealth is known as Dhanvan. One who possesses knowledge is known as Gyanvan. And one who possesses all these six qualities to an unlimited extent, or opulence, or Bhaga, is known as Bhagavan. So what better name, what can one give to God? One of the most attractive names of God, or the best names of God, is Krishna, one who attracts all. Therefore, he is known as Krishna. So, Satsang, as we started this topic today with the word Satsang, Sat means it will take you to eternal. And who is eternal? The Supreme Lord is eternal. And when Sangha means association. When we are in the association, that is chanting, hearing, glorifying the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Eternal Lord, then ultimately we will also acquire that eternal residence or eternal nature. Everything else that we do outside of Satsang will only keep us again and again in this temporary, ephemeral world that is full of miseries. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that this material world qualities are dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It is full of miseries. Sometimes we think that we are not miserable, but actually we are miserable. Prabhupada uses a very wonderful phrase. He says, cessation of pain, we consider that as happiness. Or cessation of miseries, we consider that as happiness. That is not true intelligence. Supposing if somebody who is extremely sick and is in pain or she is in pain, and when that pain stops temporarily, either because of some medicine or there is some temporary relief, and that person says, I am very happy, is that a definition of happiness? No. Because that is not our natural state to begin with, to being sick. Falling sick is not our natural state. Our natural state is always being happy, anandmaya abhyas. That's what we are. The jiva by nature is full of happiness. Another name of the soul is Satchit Ananda. The nature of the Supreme Lord is Sat. What does Sat mean? Eternal. Thank you. So Krishna is eternal. Chit means, anybody wants to try? Chit means one who is fully cognizant or knowledgeable. He has knowledge of everything. In English, we use the word for God. The definition is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. So omniscient means one who knows everything. Chit and Ananda. Ananda means bliss. Bliss. In English, it is very difficult to explain the word Ananda. So that is the closest word, bliss. Even happiness is sort of a kind of a haphazard word describing Ananda. It cannot describe Ananda completely. As a matter of fact, happiness can be translated into Hindi or Sanskrit as Sukh. But anybody who knows these languages, Sukh and Ananda, there is a difference. Sukh is derived from material things, and Ananda is derived from spiritual. So Sanskrit is a very perfect language. It has so much meaning, every word, every letter, every syllable. It is considered Dev Bhasha, the language of the gods, language that Krishna speaks. Krishna spoke the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit. Millions of years ago, it is first he said that I spoke it to the sun god, Vivashwan. And then Vivashwan spoke it to his son, Ikshwaku. And then Ikshwaku spoke it to his son. Who is his son? Manu. They were one of the origins of mankind. Man, the word man that is coming, it comes from this word Manu, Manushya. So a lot of the words are derived. Sanskrit is the mother language for many words. Even in German, in Deutsch, a lot of the words are from Sanskrit. So, what I was trying to point out here, share with you all is, when we have a spiritual association, it will take us to eternality. It will take us to Krishna. It will take us to the Supreme Lord, ultimately. Because the Supreme Lord says that whatever your consciousness is at the time of death, you will attain that particular destination. Yam yam vapi smaranam bhavam tajeti ante kalevaram. Whatever your bhav or your consciousness is, you will, at the time of death, then you will attain that particular new destination or a new body. So, it is very important to remain God conscious or Krishna conscious throughout our lives. Because death can come to us any minute, any second. There is no guarantee that only after you cross 80 years, death will come. Right? Death can come to a 2-year-old child. It can come to a 15-year-old boy or girl. It can come to a 30-year-old man. It can come to a 50-year-old, 60-year-old. It can come at any minute, any second. So Prabhupada used to say, our founder Acharya, who preached this Krishna conscious movement throughout the world, more well known as ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He used that word consciousness. Consciousness does not mean that you have to give up your life in family, or give up your job, or give up your school, or give up other activities that you are meant to do with other temporary duties that are there for taking care of your children or your family, or sometimes your extended family, such as your relatives, or sometimes your society, or even your country. So these are all different temporary duties that we all acquire with the body. So we can always engage in such activities, but our concentration should be, our consciousness should always be on the Supreme Lord. while thinking of Him, whatever activities we do, we continue doing. And then those activities, whatever we do, we offer the results to Krishna. We should not get attached to the results. That is very extremely difficult. That's what these are the basic teachings of Bhagavad Gita. That everything that you do, all work you do, Krishna says, do it for me. And offer it to me as an offering. But in this world, it's so difficult. Supposing if I work 50 hours a week, and if I'm supposed to get paid, let's say $500 or 500 euros, and if I don't get paid, I'm very upset. We get very upset because we work so hard. We will start complaining to people. I worked so hard and my boss did not pay me. I worked so hard and I lost that money. I was coming home and I had this cash in my wallet that I got paid and somebody stole it, or my wallet fell or somebody took it on the bus or the train. We are so attached. And these attachments bring us happiness and distress. Happiness and distress. And these are all temporary diseased conditions. So we have to go beyond this. That is known as Vigyan. That is known as Vishesh Gyan. That is known as science. The true science. True science starts by understanding or at least receiving the knowledge that I am not this body. I am a spirit, soul. And if we do not understand that, then unfortunately we have missed the goal of human life. The Vedanta Sutras and the Vedas, they propagate with a lot of stress that Athato Brahma Jigyasa, meaning Athato means therefore, Brahma Jigyasa means one has to inquire about a higher consciousness or higher being or a higher purpose, Brahma, or inquire about spirituality, or inquire about God, inquire about who am I, where did I come from, what activities did I perform that I am in this particular body or this particular condition, where will I go after this, what is is there a God, what is my relationship with God? These are intelligent queries that only human beings can have that faculty to perform. The Shastras say that ahar nidra bhai maituram chat etat narana pashuvi samana dharmena adhika vishesho dharma vina pashuvi samana. Meaning, eating, sleeping, mating and defending. Eating, sleeping, having sex and defending. These four are common to man and animal. Ahar, eating. When we are hungry, let's say we haven't eaten all day and suddenly we get a nice plate of prasad or food in front of us and we eat it, then we are satisfied. So supposing if there was a meter to measure our happiness after or satisfaction after eating, it will show 100%. Just like we have meters, thermometer, blood pressure meter, right? And if that same meter were to be put on a dog or a donkey, and if that dog or donkey has not eaten all day, and then when they get the grass or whatever food it is, and when it is full, you put that meter, it will also show 100% satisfaction. Same thing with sex. It is not that only human beings get pleasure in sex. Dogs also, cats also, monkeys also, animals also, even the small fish in the water, they all get pleasure in sex. So if a meter was put on them, it will also show 100% that satisfaction. And so us on human beings. And bhai, fear. Fear, out of fear we attack. Fear is the main cause. Everybody is fearful. Sometimes when we are walking on the street, suddenly there is somebody walking faster, we look behind, we are a little scared. Why is this person following so closely to me? Sometimes we are walking a little bit in the dark and you hear footsteps, we are fearful. Fear. So this fear is there in all of us. We are fearful of death. Nobody wants to die. Everybody is fearful of death. That fear is there in dogs, cats, rats, human beings, everybody. Bhai, fear. So if these four things is common to man and animal, then what is the difference between us and the animals? Vyasadeva has written very strong words in the Shastra. Dharma vihina, without cultivating spirituality, pashubi samana, we are as good as animals. Or we are animals, not as good as. Difference is that we just have a body that looks like human beings. Dharmena adhika vishesho. So we have one, what is the difference? Vyasadeva answers that question. The difference between the animals who are performing these four, eating, sleeping, mating and defending or fearing. Eating, sleeping, mating and fearing. These four functions, man and animal is common. But we have an extra function, which is a fifth function. Dharmena adhika vishesho. Dharma means spirituality. Cultivating Krishna consciousness. Adhika means that extra faculty. Dharmena adhika vishesha. Vishesh means that specialty we have, which animals do not have. But dharma vihina, without cultivating spirituality, very strong words, pashubi samana. We are like animals. So we should be, and we are very fortunate, those souls who have gathered, who are interested. There are so many, thousands and thousands of people all over the world. The churches are empty, the mosques are empty, the temples are empty compared to the population. How many people are interested in spirituality? Even in the name of God, people find an excuse to have material things that are not even good in terms of their own health or even their own spiritual well-being. For example, right now in India there is the Ganesh festival, and there are so many who are participating in that. But some of them in the bigger cities, they find an excuse, because it's a festival, we should drink and be merry. So they drink a lot of alcohol. Christmas, Jesus Christ never drank. Jesus Christ was a pure vegetarian. We talk about Thanksgiving, and in Thanksgiving, millions and millions of turkeys are slaughtered. They are bred in the slaughterhouse. So much sin is being cultivated in the name of thanking the Lord. We are imitating and copying uncultured people. Yes, when the British came to the West, they found the Red Indians or the Native Indians, and they had some turkey. They were not cultivating any farm. They used to live on buffalo. They used to live on meat. They were living out in the wild, wild West. They did not know anything about agriculture. And then they would hunt wild turkeys, wild birds, and they would kill them and eat them. And when the British came and they gave them some coffee and some other material things, in exchange for thanking them, they picked up a turkey like that and gave them that in exchange. So since then, that became Thanksgiving. This is our degraded culture. In the name of God, we thank by killing and putting plates of meat on our table, and then we offer a thanks to God. How can God be happy? Think about it. Everything belongs to God. Every living entity is a son or a daughter of God. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mamaivamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Every living entity is my part and parcel, my ansha. So, if they are the part and parcels, how we can only say that only human beings are part and parcels? In the Bible, let's go back to the Bible, those who are familiar with the Bible. We had the fortune to study some of the key things in the Bible. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, when God talks to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, He says, I give you dominion over all that exists here. The flowers, the fruits, the animals, the birds. So what does dominion mean? Dominion means to rule. To rule means to protect. Supposing if you are the ruler, a president or a prime minister of a country or a king or a queen of a country, so they have dominion of the country. Does that mean that they say, oh, you know what, you look so nice, I'm going to bring him to the kitchen, cut him up, and I'm going to eat him on the plate next day? Dominion means to protect. So even animals have to be protected. So, Thanksgiving, Christmas, people in the name of Christ, so much, maximum sales of liquor and alcohol, and the sales are there in all the stores just to make money. And people use that as an excuse. 99.9% of these people will open a bottle of champagne or wine or beer or other varieties of alcohol on Christmas Day, but they will not even go to the church even on that day. So I was originally saying that the churches are empty, the mosques are empty compared to the population. 0.0000 some percent are coming. So that is why those people coming to a satsang, like in Eindhoven, Sundari Devidasi is doing wonderful by organizing for how many years now, Mata?
50.
Almost 2 decades.
20 years.
Yeah, so 20 years she's organizing. We should all be very thankful to her. And also, not only that, try to help her, assist Prabhupada in bringing more souls to this satsang. What did Jesus say? Coming back to the Bible. Today I don't know why I'm reminded of the Bible so much. When Jesus was passing by the Sea of Galilee, and when he saw fishermen ready to cast their nets in the water to catch fish, what did Jesus say? Leave those fish. Come, follow me. I will make you a fisherman of men. What did that mean? That meant that Lord Jesus Christ is a topmost guru. He's a topmost Vaishnava. And he's telling the rest of them, come follow me. And you learn this process of God consciousness. And become a fisherman of men. Go and catch the men who are hungry, who have no idea about God, who have lost their identity. Catch them and bring them to me and preach this holy message. That is known as satsang. Satsang. Because when we die, whatever our consciousness is, immediately we will be at the time of death, the soul leaves the body and gets a new body right away. You know, the arrangement is made based on the consciousness. So, if we are always thinking about material things, somebody is, say, in the hospital, an old man, or doesn't matter, any man, lying and he's almost dying. So he's always thinking, oh, he's telling his son is standing, oh my dear son, please take care of your mother. You know, I have that other account, bank account, make sure, you take that money and this and that. So he's talking about business, he's talking about family, he's attached to the family. He's attached to his home. He'll say, and even he will remember that, that upstairs, the roof is not so good, it is still leaking, so please get it fixed. He's talking about that when he's dying. He's thinking about all these things. He's thinking about all the problems that he has in business. And then suddenly death comes. What happens? In his next life, he's going to be so attached to his house. Some people are very attached. They don't want to leave their house. They are so proud. Oh, I lived in this house for 50 years. And when they die, they are still attached to the house. So attached. So in the next life, Prabhupada said that they will become a little mouse. And they will stay in the house. Because they are so attached. So these are there. There are 8,400,000 pieces of life. Sometimes they are so attached to money. So then you can become some kind of an insect that will stay in the treasure room or wherever. And you will stay there with your own money that you don't even own it anymore. But sometimes you have consciousness about something else. Of course, most of the people from the Western background, they don't have to worry about the different Devi Devtas or demigods. But the Hindus have a lot of demigods. They have different Devi Devtas, so they worship them. So then when they die, they end up in their planet. But they are not God, actually. They are all servants of God. That is why the Hindu culture, or the Sanatan Dharma, I don't like to use the word Hindu because Hindu is not a word in the scripture. It is an acronym, or not an acronym, but a misnomer given by the British. When they crossed into the northwest frontier province, across the Indus River, the settlement that was there, they call them the Hindus. Hindus, people living across the Indus River. And then it became Hindus. Actually, there is no such word in the scripture known as Hindus. But most people identify the Hindus, those who follow different Devi Devtas, or the Vedas, the Vedic culture, followers of Krishna consciousness. So the Vedic culture, or the science of the Vedic culture is amazing. Our forefathers used to name their children with the names of God. Somebody was called Govind, somebody was called Suresh, somebody was called Ramesh, somebody was called Sita, somebody was called Lakshmi. So those names, etc., they were given because they know, the great saints knew that these people, especially when they are dying, they are attached to the family. So when they are dying, the person is on the bed, oh Lakshmi, where Govind, hey Suresh, Hari Bol, Suresh, Ramesh, Sita, Radha, and then they die. So knowingly or unknowingly, the name of the Lord came on their mouth. So then they are automatically transported because of that to a higher destination. Because Krishna's name, anybody knows the story of Ajamil in the Bhagavatam? How many of you have heard the story of Ajamil? Please raise your hands. Okay, so I will briefly mention the Katha of Ajamil. Today is also Ekadashi, so we will do a little bit of Bhagavad Katha. Ekadashi is very powerful. Madhavati thi bhakti janani jatane palana kori. Thakur Bhaktivinoda says that Ekadashi is Madhav Tithi. Madhav Tithi means, Madhav means Krishna. Tithi means that date. That date that Krishna loves the most. It is known as, so Ekadashi is Madhav Tithi. Gaur Purnima is Madhav Tithi. Krishna Janmashtami is Madhav Tithi. Today is also Madhav Tithi because today is also Vaman Dev's appearance. Did you all know that? Bolo Vaman Dev ki, Bali Maharaj ki. So this is Madhav Tithi. Today is also, it is known as Vaman Ekadashi. So in the Bhagavatam, there is a very nice, wonderful pastime. There was one very learned Brahmin who was very pious. And he had a son also, his name was Ajamil. And Ajamil used to help his father do all the different morning activities for spiritual things such as puja, chanting the verses, etc. Then his duty was to go to the market and bring some flowers, some tulsi leaves, some worshipping paraphernalia, fresh. And he was a very young boy, maybe 18 years or something like that. And he was also very well versed with the scriptures. He knew the Vedas very well, learned from his father. And very, very pious boy. He didn't commit any kind of sinful activities. He was not drinking or smoking or chewing tobacco or anything like that. So one day, his father, as usual in the morning, he used to go to the market to buy some flowers and tulsi leaves for the worship of the Shaligram. And when he came back, on the way back, while he had the flower bag in his hand, he saw one prostitute in the market. And she was with one of her customers. And she was in a very, very compromising position where she was embracing and kissing and very erotic kind of display of actions were were there. So when he saw that, he stopped and he was just looking and staring. And he got attracted to that prostitute, and that feeling of passion aroused in him, and he also wanted to kind of associate with her, with that woman. So what happened is, after that client, whatever she was talking to, that prostitute in the market, after she was leaving, he followed her home. And she was smiling and laughing at him, thinking that you are a Brahmin and you are coming behind me. I'm considered a very abominable woman in society. You should go home. But he was so adamant and he was so attractive. That is the influence of Maya. We get all captivated. That's something to do with our body, which we are not. Everything that is nice for the body we like. But everything for the soul, we don't even inquire. What to talk about, do something. Every day, how much time do we spend on our body? There are some necessities, yes. But we go beyond necessities. Like taking a bath is a necessity. But taking a bath with a 20 euro soap is not necessary. Or we may need to be nice and clean, we need nice clothes. Simple, nice clothes are good. But to buy a $200 suit, now that is, I would consider outrageous and spending too much money. So we are always, and when we spend more needs of our body, the senses are so strong that the more you give the senses material things, the more it wants, and unfortunately it never is satisfied. Whether one is drinking or whether one is just buying, as some people have a passion for nice cars, nice clothes, nice perfumes. And some of them, they spend their entire paycheck on those things. I know one friend back in America. He used to make good money, but everything that he got on the Friday, every week he would buy new clothes. Every week he would buy new perfumes. And sometimes when he needed some money, he didn't have any money in the bank. So the needs of the body, the more we give, the more it is going to demand. So he got so attracted to this woman, prostitute, that he just would not even take her advice and go back. She said, look, you're a Brahmin, you're dressed like a Brahmin, you're a Vaishnava, and you are coming like this, following me in my house. What do you think the society will say? But he was so infatuated, he was so intoxicated with her looks and her demeanor, when she finally said, okay, I don't care. For me, a customer is customer, whether Brahmin or a Shudra. Whether you are a king or you are a beggar, as long as you can give me money, I can satisfy you. So then, he didn't have much money. Whatever he had, he gave, and he started associating, but he wanted to associate more and more. But she is a business person. She needs money. So she said, I cannot continue with you if you cannot give me money. So then he started borrowing from people that he knew because of his father's reputation. And he went there. Now, how many times if somebody comes to you and says, I need 100 euros, 200 euros, if he starts coming every other day, then you're going to say, Baba, I don't have it, sorry. And you're going to turn him away. So everybody that he knew, he had borrowed money just to maintain his relationship with this prostitute. And everybody rejected afterwards. And he still was so crazy. And he still needed money, so the next thing he did, he started stealing. And even small stealing was not sufficient. So then he became a dacoit. And he joined a big group and used to go out and kill and slaughter people, bring gold, more and more money. And he started living a life with that woman. He never went back home. The person who had gone in the morning to gather flowers for Krishna, he never went back home. He started associating with that prostitute. And more money he had to bring every day. Through this prostitute, he acquired 9 children. And he got old, almost 80 years. 60 years he associated with her. It appears like that. From a very young age, he had found her. So now this prostitute was pregnant with the 10th child. And this time he was not at home. He had gone out on his loot, on his dacoit spree. But at that time it was the rainy season. And in the rainy season, in India it is said that the sadhus or the saintly persons, they, whatever place they are traveling, they stay there for 4 months. And they do Hari Katha, they speak about Krishna. They engage everybody in their town or village by giving them Krishna consciousness. So when these 4 persons came to that village, these persons always were asking, because it was the first time in the village, that do you know a Brahmin's house or a Vaishnava's house where we can stay? He was asking the children who were playing on the street where we can stay. It is raining quite a lot. So the children laughed at him and said, yeah, we know a very nice Brahmin. Go there, that house. And he pointed the house of a Jana, the prostitute's house. So these 4 sadhus did not know. They knocked on the door, and the prostitute who was pregnant, she opened the door. But the culture was such that although she was a prostitute, so-called